Are you feeling good now? Oh, you're feeling good. Fuck yeah. Well, okay. So bottom cream Memphis. She tried to take me upstairs for the ride. She had to heat me right across the shoulder. I just don't say to drink you off my mind.
You know, I'm not gonna lie, that just sounds so good. Son of a gun, man, I needed a freaking pickup so bad. I have just been in a funk the last 2-3 weeks, and I have been super busy at work. Hell yeah, that feels good. I am dying to work on this. We're gonna start a little bit on it tonight. We're gonna film it. I'll show you the techniques. We'll practice. We'll see how it looks when we're done. Crash or burn. We're gonna have some fun tonight. Please forgive me. I'm still using the Hello Kitty headphones and microphone. I haven't even had a chance to get around to order my new wireless system. But I swear to God, work has been crazy busy in terms of retraining, all that stuff you see on the news about defunding the police and all that stuff. But let me tell you, that stuff is real, voters. You potential voters out there, that stuff is real and it's affecting my job also. That's why I got to work hard to come up with some revamped techniques with some awesome coworkers, with my best friend Eddie from work, and we're kicking ass. But it's a lot of hard work. You saw what those little darlings did in Chicago this weekend and down here in Compton. Just your vote is precious. Vote carefully. Vote for what is right. And don't fall for any gimmick from these idiot politicians on both sides of the aisle.
Oh yeah.
All right, folks. So we're gonna move the tripod, and we're gonna move the tripod and zoom in. And pretty much with this technique, what we're gonna show you here is we're gonna use cut up we're gonna use cut up pieces of sponge. Uh, we'll even use tissue, steel wool, this packing material, this padding. We're gonna cut off little bits and pieces. Cut not with a knife or with scissors, but rather tear with your hand so you get an uneven, rough finish. And then we'll dip these in our different paints, our different weathering paints, I should say, washes, grime, streaking, mud effects, all that good stuff. Let me catch the computer before she goes away. And we're going to dip it in paint, the correct paint for what we're trying to shoot for, and then we'll practice here some blotches. When we get the blotch and the color we like, we'll apply it on the model. I'm gonna say on the video, you may still hear some popping from the Hello Kitty mic, but I'll go ahead and re-edit these down the road. Let's just get the show on the road for right now. Bear with me regarding that popcorn popping sound, and let's just have some fun. I'm gonna try and mimic portions of this panel here. So let's start with that tonight. I'll finish off camera. I'll work on it all night, and tomorrow we'll see how she came out, and then we'll shoot a longer video tomorrow, hopefully better quality, and we'll do some more panels, and then just to give you guys an idea of the simplistic techniques that it involves. Just a little practice, lose your fear, lose your nervousness. As you can see with this little practice box, I've been able to pull it off with some fantastic results. And as I stand here before you, my hand isn't shaking one bit. I got total confidence, and if I screw up, I just reshoot it in white again. It's no big deal. So let's go ahead and start that process. Let me move the tripod around. So I can sit down next to you guys, and let's go ahead and start this show on the road. So besides the little sponges, we're going to use a couple other different little techniques. We're going to use our never throw away a paintbrush even after it's gotten hard and brittle and rough. Keep them. They come in handy for other stuff, and that's what's happened here. We're going to use these rough brushes that are no longer good for painting smooth straight lines and stuff like that. We keep them, we save them, and we're going to use them to kind of not splatter but kind of dab rust colors to hopefully match what we're trying to do right here on the video of our prototype. Remember, I can't find this video on YouTube anymore. It looks like the guy pulled his channel. They probably put a bunch of YouTube restrictions on him or monetized him because he did do a lot of cussing. Nothing wrong with that, but he probably got pissed off and said, "I'm gonna go TikTok instead and help the Chinese Communist government with that." But as long as there's no balloons flying over your house, you should be fine. Let's get to work on this. Pull this off lighting wise. All right, so different techniques we're going to use. The rust color we're going to be using today will be not really red rust, it's more darker. So let's find a paint bottle that kind of matches what we're trying to do. I'm probably going to be bumping into the tripod a lot tonight, so bear with me, guys. I actually went ahead and put a bunch of paint thinner in here, the correct paint thinner for this AK product. It was dried up. I put a big bolt in it. Had to toss about half of it out, but I've got it working so I can at least use it for weathering purposes and not and hopefully save some of my money, because I think half the bottles I had to wind up throwing away. So this will work. This is a nice color. It's more of a brown than a rust, but that will match. I won't keep putting the, well, go ahead. That will match. These are more reddish rust colors. We're going to be doing this panel here. They're more dots, circular dots. We could actually mimic that with a brush by by doing one of these things. And that works too. Um, but we're going to go ahead and use one of these little tiny pieces of sponge or styrofoam or whatever matches that correctly. We've done it before. And that particular color would be right here. Right there. So let's go ahead and have some fun. You can't tell from the camera. I'm more than positive you can't tell from the camera. But I hope you guys can see that clearly. Okay. I went ahead and shot this thing with white 2 times. The first time using those water-based paints that I'm no longer, or those AK products I'm no longer happy with, or Vallejo in this case, it left me a beaded surface. Even after I shot it with clear, the beaded surface was there. So this afternoon, after I got home from work, I went ahead and sanded down that beaded surface, almost down to the styrene. Not quite. I used fine steel wool to smooth it out. I hit it with white Tamiya primer, fine primer, this afternoon. And once it dried, when I went back and I hit it with aged yellow, which is kind of like a yellowish, aged white, I'm sorry, aged white, which is kind of a yellowish in color. I hit it kind of like in certain spots to give it that weathered um, paint almost starting to rust. I hope that picks up on the camera. Probably doesn't, but I did it all over the model. I even went ahead and painted underneath the model, the dump bit I should say, and you can see those features. You can see where it's kind of yellowed, kind of like paper or a novel, a book. You put it in a bookshelf or out in the garage somewhere for many, many years, and you go back, all the pages are starting to yellow on you. That's the effect I went for here. I don't know if you can pick it up on camera, but the surface is now smooth. I'm very happy the way that came out. We went ahead and shot it with that aged white. I love the way that looks. We're going to do our rust techniques right now, but that's an example right there, if anyone's interested, of you can go back and redo a section. You can go back and take that paint off. I sanded it down. You can go back with paint thinner or lacquer thinner, very carefully take it off. Combination of sandpaper, sanding sticks, steel wool, and I got it to where I wanted it nice and smooth again. And this time I hit it with Tamiya, which to me is the god of all paints. That and Mr. Hobby. And these things, well, you saw my last video on these things. And do your homework, practice, save your money, and stick with a more proven, even if you got to pay a few more bucks, stick with a more proven product. Let's go ahead and start this technique right here. So our panel we're going to copy here, basically what it is splotches. So that's going to be easy to mimic either with a brush, a dry brush, or in our case, the sponge technique. So let's go ahead, just to practice, like an ex-girlfriend I used to have used to say, let's just do this for shits and giggles. So I'm going to dip it. I'm going to put the sponge on the end of a little, the tweezers. I'm going to dip it just to touch. You're not going to soak the sponge. You just want to touch the little tops of the high points so that when you come back here, and you're not going to press sponge down hard. You're just gonna barely touch it so you can get that effect. Let's wipe off any excess. Get a piece of paper, wipe off any excess, and right there you can start seeing what it kind of mimics, what it's gonna mimic. So like I said, let me experiment. Well, let's practice before we do it on the model. So let's see how that's gonna look. See, I just barely touched it. What do you think? That's what we just did. That's what we're shooting for. You're starting to get the idea. So let's go ahead and do the first one right here live on the YouTube Modeling Network on the Florentino Rebuilding Company channel. Let's go ahead and redip it in our paint cap again. I'm not gonna bore you guys tonight. I'm gonna try and make this video kind of quick, but I'm tickled as pie. I've never done this technique before. So are you guys ready? Are we gonna crash and burn? Let's do one more practice on the box. Okay, so that's the first one. What do you guys think? So no crash and burn here. We actually kind of pulled it off on the first try. Let me hit it with as many lights as possible. Um, Now I'm really happy the way that's coming out. There are some artists here on YouTube that can mimic this on their models by using the technique called dry brushing. For the life of me, I can do any technique in terms of artistic techniques, except dry brushing. I struggle with that one. So I'm really happy the way this has come out on our model. Now what we'll do is we'll come when we hit another panel here with a more reddish rust color, a more reddish oxide color. We'll come back here and we'll sprinkle some of that into this. Let's see if we could spread this to some more panels here, just for since we're here anyways. So I'm gonna work off of the cap. So I'll put the cap back on the bottle. This is the color I'm using. In case anyone's curious, I did have to doctor this bottle so get it to work. As you can hear, I put a big nut in there, a big steel nut or bolt. I think it's a nut. And you can hear that. I really miss making the videos here the last few weeks. I really miss our back and forth banter with you guys. I noticed some subscribers have bailed out. You know, it's no big deal. I have a regular full-time job. I was at work yesterday in the office. I left the office at 5. I had a real late interview at the end of the day. I helped somebody out, and I still had to come home with my county laptop, and I worked till 9 o'clock at night for the training we were doing today. It's just I have not had a chance to sit down where I can sit down for 2-3 hours and just enjoy what I do here in front of the camera for you guys. And I didn't want to do a rush special, and I still had to clean up that rough texture I spoke about earlier, but I'm doing it now. So hopefully, um, we can start getting the show on the road. So I went ahead, maybe I applied too much, I'm not sure, but just to practice, let's just get a piece of towel. That might work for bigger clumps. So let's go ahead and put some bigger clumps. I'm noticing on our video up is we got a bigger clump up here. Got some more here on the ends. Kind of more on the top, we get those bigger clumps. Over here, you really got a whole bunch. So let's go ahead and just so I'm not a lawyer, but the stuff we're researching is law and um, government codes, civil codes, penal codes, stuff like that. That takes up gobs and gobs of hours. I still got to do my regular job, but like I said, your vote is precious. Don't fall for these dog and pony and smoke and mirror shows, these circus acts. Vote for the guy or the gal who is gonna help the citizens of where you're from. So yeah, that whole defund the police movement and shit like that, that's real. And I'm speaking to you because it's affecting me. Okay, so this is too big to get into the little nooks and crannies. We'll switch to another size one, or we actually use the brush. Let's go ahead, and I've never done this before. Let's use this brush here, and we'll dip it in our paint, and we'll dip it on our tissue, and that looks like it will get into the little recesses we need to get into. Dip it back in our little paint cap. Take off the excess. Go back to our original panel where we missed because the other sponge was too big. Let's go ahead and get in there. Like this mistake I made, that's easy to wipe out. We could come back later with a little bit of water or Windex and take that off. So it's no big deal. So you saw, I never used this technique in my life. I practiced. I practiced again on camera for you guys before we attacked it, and we're getting some great results. That's a little bit too big, but there you go. Um, we're gonna come back and back some of those off. It may be a little bit too thick, but since we're here, let's keep going. So we'll just do that for right now. I don't know if you can see that third one. What we're going to do now is we're going to switch colors and come back to these panels and make it kind of pop a little bit, give it a little bit of warmth by using a different color, a more reddish rust oxide color, which is called for in our video. You get the more reddish kind of right here, and a little bit here and here. So we're going to go ahead and do that here. Now we're zoomed in, or you guys are really zoomed in, so it may look overly done, but as you back away from the camera, or I'm about 2.5 feet away from the model. I'm actually right here by the camera, but the tripod, the camera, because I want to have my mouth close to the Hello Kitty microphone. And I'm going to shoot this video again, sans the Hello Kitty earphones and microphone. If there was too much popping or it just didn't work out, I'll reshoot it again, just regular mic off the cell phone, and see which one is better. But I'm going to post the better of the two, and I can always come back and edit later on. I just want to get this show on the road, and it's important to me, and I'm sure it's fun, and it's also fun for you guys, and I got to get the show on the road. But I feel good. I feel good right now. Like Willie Mays used to say, hey, let's play too. Okay, so I went ahead and I got a more reddish rust color. I went ahead and got the sponge, dipped it in the cap a little bit. I'm going to wipe off the excess here. Not much excess. Let's go ahead and dip it back in the cap. Okay, so let's go ahead and apply this kind of just like in the middle. And that actually looks great. I don't know if that picks up on the camera, but that reddish right in the middle just kind of pops right through that island of more darker earth colors that we used about 5 minutes ago. Yeah, that is just fantastic. That is I did not think I was going to be able to pull that off, but apparently I did, or we did. So I guess it's safe to say if you guys have some old rust paint or earth tone browns or whatever, and they're drying out on you, and you manage to revive them one last chance, but you don't want to run them through your airbrush and shoot them on a finished model, this would be a good uh, excuse or reason to use them. How about that? So it's hard to get into these right. It's hard to get right by these frame members here by the edge. I'll come back with a more smaller brush and get in there by putting a lot of little dots, so to speak. But there you go, guys. We pulled it off. What do you guys think? So that'll be it for tonight. Thank you for joining me. Let me just give you guys some good shots of what we did do. And